Hi Aries, here's a general look at your solar chart for August 2014. Now, this is the month when the sun every year comes into the area of a fellow fire sign, that's Leo, so very much for you, children of the Ram, the force will be with you. So that seems to be a pretty good point of departure. And actually there are some very nice energies around, but it's the underlying energies, as a matter of fact, that I want to look at. And that's due to your ruling planet coming into the same area as Saturn. Saturn is in a very long transit of that area. If you haven't been listening to these forecasts before, it started way back in October 2012. So Mars comes in and really stirs it up and sort of kicks things around, and it can mean that you are feeling a little bit more sensitive, perhaps slightly stressed. You are keeping certain things quiet. You're keeping certain things close to your chest, perhaps. And you maybe have to bite your tongue. Or maybe it's not like that. Maybe it's that you have to be confidential on behalf of somebody else. Or that you are, you just got to be aware of where somebody else is coming from. Now, this might be somebody you know, so you're sensitive towards them, but on the other hand, you've got to stick up for yourself. Or it might be a kind of an outside agency who have their sort of, you know, their system, their requirements, their whatever, and that might be related to something financial, something to do with property. So you might feel a little bit of a pushing and pulling like that, but it might not be just that. It might be something else which is underlying, which is kind of bugging you. Suffice it to say that Mars will be leaving this area actually pretty much at the end of the month, just going on into September, but not much of September. And then, you know, that very inward turning energy, that very introspective energy that this area is, it's quite a deep psychological area. It's the area to do with deep feeling, deep knowing, deep patterns, and also confronting oneself. And often in this area here, which is, I call it the gear change area, because actually once the transits are over, we've made this major gear change. And of course, if you don't know what it is to use stick shift, practically everybody in this country uses them, but you know, it's that kaplunk, it's that ka-chunk. It's a transition house, but in order to make the transition in this house, it's often some kind of a wall we hit, and that can be, it can pan out in lots of different ways, but it usually inwardly makes us, it touches us, it pushes a button, or it sways our feelings in a kind of romantic sense, or like I say, it pushes deep buttons. So whatever the physical concrete manifestation of this energy is about, it's coming from the causal level more of Mars, Saturn here. Now Mars is really quite a speedy planet. It doesn't really sort of think twice before it jumps in, but Saturn is a very slow plodding. So basically you've got the tortoise and the hare in this area. So on the one hand, you want to get something over and done with and sorted, and you're looking for a win-win solution. On the other hand, Saturn is actually carrying the energy of the snake, which is being very lethargic and very going into its time of stasis, whilst it just lets that outer skin dry and crack off, you see. and then revealing the beautiful colours of the fresh, new, bright skin, you know, underneath. It's a little bit like dermabrasion, I suppose, or something like that. What is it that they do? They put this chemical peels. So that's what I was trying to think of. Well, anyway, so we have the two different angles in this house of transition, the gear change, as I call it, the house of renewal, right? So know this. It is the house of renewal. But before we get to the renewal stage, we got to go through the gear change of, it is the house of death and rebirth. It's the house of deconstruction, breaking something down, because we meet the resistance of it. So we meet the resistance of it on that level. So therefore we got to go around and get through on that level, or get through on that level, or go right around, you see. But we have to, with Saturn here, which is very traditional and very quite rigid and quite proper and quite strict, we have to meet our obligations here, whether those are financial, around property, around any subject under the sun, morally, debts due and owed, around any subject that you have to, that you're keeping to yourself. Right, or you tend to keep to yourself. And as a matter of fact, this is a very, very good time for you, Aries, to have a nice, quiet little sort of tete-a-tete, a word in the ear of somebody who is being very impartial, neutral, and can be very, very helpful, because it helps you to unload, because this is a great time, Aries, for you to unload, whatever it's about, whether it's about you personally or whether it's about somebody else that you're concerned about, okay? And you'll probably need to be feeling your way, because this is very much a gut-based area. It is not a left brain, rational, logical, you know, then we do this, then we do this, then we do this. No, this is a sensing, feeling, and anybody that's got to come into this area to help you, or rather in through this, whatever the subject matter for you in your life to do with this area of transition and confronting something in order to get through and change the gear to go on to the next stretch of road, you need to use your gut knowing with them, not because somebody told you they were going to be good or bad. What, you know, sound it out, sound them out, feel them out. I mean, you know, obviously without doing anything illegal, but what I mean is just get take a depth sounding and see if it resonates, because that might not be a bad person, good person, you know, it can just be, you need to find the people that resonate with you, even if you've got to say no to the first one that comes along. Okay, and of course the other thing about this area, it is about deep feeling towards another, and another's deep feeling towards you, and it can actually be quite a sizzly area, so I thought I'd save the best little bit till last. So that's the situation with Mars Saturn this month. As I say, Mars does move out of their beginning of, yeah, it will be towards the beginning, first half anyway, of September, and then you'd just be left with this long transit of Saturn, which finishes in that area there on Christmas Eve, apart from the very, very last few degrees, and it comes back in, I think it's about 3 months in 2015, sometime in 2015, but just in the last degrees, but more on that one later. So like I said, there's some nice cheerful energies around this month, apart from that, which needs handling, okay? But there are some nice cheerful energies, and you have got this sort of quite, you know, you could be center stage, but also have a few laughs along the way, and you just feel this light of appreciation or recognition towards you from others, but also very strongly highlighted animals, excuse me, children, lovers, and anybody who's just out to have a good time, basically, because the sun is in the house of fun up until the 23rd. Just a couple of caveats there. On the 7th, you do well to get active on behalf of somebody else, or you do well to get active on behalf of yourself in a nurturing, healing kind of a way. But also the dreamer in you can manifest a cherished vision. So if you want to work with the law of attraction, then really put your back into it on that day there. Or, you know, do a dream board, or just really visualize something very, very strongly. That day there would support that, the energies. And then you'll have to push through with determination around the 8th and 9th. Okay, so perhaps don't schedule anything in the way of sort of romance or entertainment on that day there, because it looks a little bit more serious. However, you need to be pushing and perhaps, you know, feeling the weight of the pressure on you, whatever that pressure is about. But also you can take advantage of something, and that's this wave of progress coming from Uranus. Is that stunningly good aspect coming from Uranus on that day, or on those couple of days in particular, although either side of these days that I'm giving you, you'll still get it in a diluted fashion. But I'm just giving you the days or the dates that are absolutely plumb in the middle of the note, as it were. Okay, so 8th and 9th, I said, and take advantage of the wave, but, you know, working against the pressure and feeling a bit, you know, weighed down there. But then there's this wave of progress. It's very progressive. It might be a bit sort of toiling maybe, but progressive, particularly in hitting it off with somebody maybe. And there could be some surprises in the pipeline, but and you might be sitting on the edge of your seat a little bit, but just be aware of those 2 days there. When you can look ahead that far, you can schedule the right sorts of things to be happening on those days. Okay, so you don't leave an awful lot to chance maybe. And then until the 16th, Mercury is in the same area, so your thoughts are likely to be centered around fun activities, speculating, creative activities, animals again, children, romantic activities, hobbies, leisure pursuits. Trickster energy is quite strong there. There could be a false alarm. Or there could be, you know, you could be having sort of games on your mind or pranks of some kind, but it can be a very romantically expressive and creatively imaginative time there. And then from the 16th, Mercury gets a little bit busier and has to look at the knotty details, the practical side of life, the daily duties, but also at health matters. That might be your own, that might be somebody else's, perhaps more paperwork, perhaps a heavier workload with paperwork, correspondence of various kinds, and also repairs. You know, we all rely on the car and the equipment, so it could be something blows a fuse or whatever and just needs to be sorted, maintenance type things, but also maintenance towards the body. Another thing about this area here, it is about skills, so using your skills to the best of your ability. Until the 12th, Venus is beaming a very friendly, sociable light into the root of your chart. Lots of support there right in your own backyard or from family or to do with the past. Perhaps some of you feeling a little bit nostalgic about the past. And then from the 12th, Venus, it comes into the same area as the Sun. So for a while there is Venus, Mercury and the Sun all in the house of fun. So that's definitely not bad in my book. And then, of course, from the 23rd, that changes. The Sun moves out of there and moves into this very practical area, and then it moves into this practical area. Yes, I was just looking at Mercury. Actually, Mercury moves out of there on the 16th, but still they are together for just 4 days. And then the Sun moves out on the 23rd, and there you can be just dealing with more niggly chores, details, you know, and having to get to grips with things, work, duties, but also again health issues, maybe your own, somebody else's, and really you need to be, you know, making out those to-do lists, getting your act together, getting organized, But it's definitely a good time on the 29th to take some downtime, just disappear yourself, to do something that feeds your soul, just feeds your the dreamer within, the artist within, the shaman within, the spiritual oversoul, you know, because your worldly outward energies just on that day, they would tend to be on a lower ebb, or maybe, you know, you're not seeing straight or something, but you have the ability to tune in to things very much there on the 29th, and maybe just get some more sleep. That might be a good idea. And then in conclusion, Jupiter is in this new position now along with Mars, but Jupiter is in a different place, and it's in an area which for well, just about 12 months now is going to very positively influence your sun sign. It's in a much more positive, dynamic area than it was in the previous 12 months. So that is going to be a time when you may find yourself being appreciated more, or find yourself being admired very much. That can be there with Jupiter there for yourself, for your deliciously gorgeous self, but also for your abilities, for your contributions, whatever it's about. It also very strongly highlights, again, children, animals, lovers, romance, and again, being Jupiter though, Jupiter is about learning through these things. So I suppose when we learn, there has to be some ups and downs along the way, but it's usually very, very positive with potential expansion into new areas, so branching out and having a bit more fun. And you could be growing through access to activities where you feel very empowered. You think, yes, you know, I did it and I'm proud. Yes, and that is a pretty good note on which to end. So if you know your rising sign or your moon sign, listen to those. And if you want to check anything out, it's all written up on my website. And I wish you well, and I'll see you the next time.